Sorry about that, everybody. Welcome back to the DAE Create and Hang. I'm Henry. Sorry I'm showing you all my streaming stuff. Was having some video problems a little earlier. I don't want to X out of that. Alrighty. So today I'm going to be working in Photoshop and After Effects yet again. And I'm going to be working on just like a little animated collage. I've been going on hikes and camping for the last couple weeks with my friends. I've been trying to bring my camera as much as I can. So I have just, a bunch of random pictures, and I was thinking of putting together some kind of a collage that I could do some animation with. Maybe including some of these pictures, which I've been. If you've been watching my videos the last couple weeks, I've been working with this kind of stuff, the biodiversity pictures, the old biodiversity pictures. So, yeah. I'm just gonna start doing this. But yeah, so no, that's not what I want to do. Yeah, it's been a great solace, great way to, it's definitely a weird time for everybody right now, but and I graduated college, so I definitely know what it's like to try to find stuff to do, to keep your mind off all the chaos of the world. So and I'm from upstate New York, right around the my town is called the gateway to the Adirondacks. So I'm very very privileged to have the Adirondacks at my back door. And there's 46 high peaks, and there's a bunch of other hikes and stuff like that. So I've been gone wilderness camping once, and been trying to hike as often as I possibly can, with both my brother and my friends. So I figured today it'd be fun to try and take some of. Oh, I wish the rest of his fingers were there. Take some of these pictures and bring them into Photoshop, and then hopefully by the end I have the opportunity to and I'm gonna try to keep to time so that you guys can actually see me do animation, because I know I've run into that problem in the past weeks. Some of the red out of his hands. But yeah, between the camping and trying to teach myself more After Effects, it's been a good way to keep busy and, keep my mind off the fact that, I'm graduating college under quarantine. Which I know so many people are. I'm doing with it okay, but I definitely feel bad for all those high schoolers out there who are getting, losing the opportunity to have their senior year, or have, all the fun stuff, the prom and the getting to walk at graduation and all that stuff. It's definitely disappointing, for me and for everybody. I should fix his finger a little bit. It's also, it's been nice because I've gotten the chance to pause here after graduating, film school, but and it's, incredible to have work with the DAE and stuff like that, but it's certainly taking some adjustment. Maybe find a background image now, throw in there. This is my close friend Gavin, one of the few people from back home who I'm still real close to. It's definitely strange to figure out next steps when everybody's still, you know, and things are shifting, you know, people are getting outside and stuff, but it's definitely hard to figure out what to do when everything's so chaotic and, you know, and me specifically, you know, both my parents are immunocompromised, so it's tricky to socialize, and the hikes have been great because it allows us to all kind of get out and do stuff as you know, in small groups of people that you know, in a safer setting. Got some lens flare there. I think there's one with a hammock that would be cool to do. This is not the folder that I thought it was. So, let's see if we can edit this one down. Yeah, this is a great little free campground which you can pretty much drive up to. You have to hike in a little bit, but then you get to be right on a river and carry in, carry out kind of stuff. And as long as you bring all the right supplies, you know, that's about all you have to pay for at the end of it, which is very might be a way I can that looks fun. There might be a way I can make it look like he's rocking back and forth a little bit in After Effects once I bring everything in there. Yeah, my webcam's not sticking to the top of my monitor very well right now, so I'm sorry that you're down here. You're seeing me all stare up. Okay, let's see. This is gonna be trickier if I'm actually gonna make it realistic. Give me one sec. Yeah. Alright. Because if there's not a clean background behind it, I don't know if this is gonna look correct. Yeah, it probably is not gonna. It's been nice too. This has been the first time in a long time that I've been able to take pictures again. It's something that I haven't really done since I was in. You know what I'm gonna try to do? Select inverse. Yeah, I haven't really taken photos since high school, so this has definitely been a good exercise in that. Not even an exercise, just kind of going back to my roots, because that's part of the reason I went to film school in the first place, was just all the stuff that I learned in high school as far as like Photoshop goes, and yeah, if it weren't for my high school photo classes, I would have never actually learned how to Yeah, if it weren't for my high school photo teacher, Mr. Hanstein, I probably wouldn't be doing a lot of the stuff that I'm doing now, which is something I've been thinking a lot about lately. And he was cool because he grew up shooting commercial photography in the city for a bunch of different people, and then taught himself Photoshop and moved to upstate New York. Why is this not working? And I think the one thing that he taught me in high school too was the fact that it's, you know, because we would spend a decent amount of the class going through the lessons and stuff like that. And I also took his class like 3 times, and then I was a teaching assistant my senior year just because I knew I couldn't lose the ability to use Photoshop, especially because, you know, as a high schooler I didn't have it myself. But if you taught me anything, it's that, you know, experimenting and just, you know, if you have free time and you're just sitting around, just messing around within the program is about the best thing you can do. Because if you love it, you love it, and that's an important lesson to learn. You know, if you if you know you want to take pictures and you know you want to do this stuff, then just follow that feeling and practice when you can. And, you know, if you don't have Photoshop, there's tons of other great options out there. I know in high school I used GIMP, GIMP, which is a open source kind of knockoff of Photoshop, and it's, you know, it was created pretty much just so that people that, you know, some coders got together and decided, you know, this Photoshop thing's a little too expensive, so let's create something for people that, you know, love to do this stuff but can't afford it. And they do a pretty good job, and a lot of open source programs do a pretty good job of you know, taking care to make a program that works, you know, regardless of all the other programs out there that may cost money and may... Ooh, my foot is falling asleep. What layer is this on? Oh no. There we go. There's a good picture of Collage in here too. I just don't know where it is. Alright, yeah, I'll try to use this one. And then I'm gonna try to use... Where is it? This one. That's a bit out of focus. Is this one in focus? No. Oh, that's on me. Oh no, my foot is so asleep.
Alright. Alright, so now let's try. Get all this stuff out. Probably could have done a better job of selecting, but it's so hard to do meticulously when there's not a solid colored background and have it look realistic. Yeah, and that's going to be hard to... Yeah, see, I'm already missing my chair. Probably help if I was a little closer. But yeah, it's definitely been nice to slow down and familiarize myself with programs, and now that I'm out of undergrad, I have the chance to, not that I wasn't learning what I wanted to in school, but I have the chance to, figure out how to teach myself exactly what I want to learn, which is, I think, something that I, knew in theory, but definitely something that I solidified a lot more in the last couple of years, just given the fact that it's like, especially in the arts, it's like, if you have an idea and you don't know how to execute it, there's so many resources, whether it's YouTube or whether it's, taking local classes like at the DAE or something like that, or, calling up a friend who knows how to do that thing and getting them to, show you the ropes. I've done that for people in film photography. I've helped people learn how to use their DSLRs, and it's, there's always, we live in a really interesting time because there's so many opportunities to just be able to learn what you want to do, and as much as you don't need a college education, it's college is good. It did teach me an incredible, it taught me how I learned, and I think knowing how I learn and being able to apply that outside of college, inside of college, just in day-to-day life is a real beautiful thing. And yeah, there's so many resources out there, and And I think that's one of the beauties of the DAE is it doesn't matter if you're trying to learn how to code or if you're just, you know, you want to learn how to make YouTube videos, which is one of the classes that I teach when I'm working. And you know, there's always places to look, you know, and you can start by, you know, it's as simple as Google searching sometimes. Planning out what you want to do, figuring out, you know, making a resource list of things you need before you can actually do that thing, and soon enough you're doing it. And I think a big thing too is everybody's just faking it till they understand what's going on. You know, like if I didn't learn Photoshop in high school and have the chance to just sit in front of the computer with a bunch of, you know, crappy pictures of flowers and stuff that I took in my backyard, and edit them and, you know, figure out how to, you know, do the stuff I'm doing right now, like selection and color correction and erasing backgrounds and superimposing and stuff, or whether it's just, you know, editing a picture that you took so that it looks really good, or the opposite, editing a picture you look so that it looks like a completely different picture, you know, warping it and manipulating it and seeing it for the code that it is. Especially when you're talking about digital photography, there's, you know, all this is a it's just data. It's different than film in the sense that film is an actual imprint, whereas when you're dealing with digital images, the opportunities you have as far as manipulation goes, just because you're dealing with, you know, a little computer chip that knows how to recognize color, and then it organizes that information into all these little, you know, because when you zoom in really close to this, just organizes, it's like it's telling the computer this little dot over here is one color and this other dot is another color, and you really get the chance to screw around a little bit more. Not that you can't in film photography, but that's just a whole nother beast. That's, you know, screwing around in Photoshop is a bit safer than screwing around with some of the chemicals that you have to use when you're developing film photography. Because I know black and white's relatively safe, but when you start to get into color, you're dealing with some really harsh chemicals. And, you know, aside from my eyes getting tired staring at this screen, even with some blue light filter on my glasses, this is definitely a healthy alternative to using harsh corrosive chemicals to experiment with color film. But also a very educational experience. But, you know, Photoshop's, I think in the long run, quite a bit cheaper than all the stuff that it costs to develop film photography. You know, there's a reason film has died out, and, you know, we're seeing a resurgence, but it's definitely not, you know, not the easiest thing to do. I still gotta do my head. I should probably, alright, so this is the last one I'll do, and then I'll jump over to After Effects and try to do some goofy animation. That nose probably carved a bit more out of there than I needed to, but a little pointy. All right. Select color range. not my greatest selection. If I had a bit more time to spend on this, I would go in and make sure that all this stuff was a bit more detailed, but that's a bit tricky. Call it camping. Let's get After Effects started up. Should have done this earlier. And yeah, and I think this is my last live stream because we're starting summer classes at the DAE. I'm gonna be teaching, I think, starting in August, but I think the first session starts in about a week and a half, 2 weeks. What is it, June? Yeah, I think it starts right around a week from now. Yeah, and I know there's gonna be a lot of classes in photo and video as well as coding and stuff. So it's definitely, if you've been watching this stuff and you're looking for just ways to keep busy, especially during quarantine, that's a good place to start. All the instructors really care about what they're talking about. Editable layer styles, composition, retain layer styles. Okay. So there we go. So how? Position. And I'm gonna do some easing, which is something new I've been messing around with. It kind of graphs out, which you can see here, graphs out the actual movement of everything, so that you can, you know, sort of see where the movement happens, and you're seeing it a bit more. You know, it looks a bit more confusing, but you're just viewing it on a grid, and also being able to push it that way helps you make sure that the movement is a bit more fluid, which is very helpful, especially, you know, not necessarily with this one, but specifically with text animation, it's very helpful because you don't want things to seem like they're happening, everything happens at the same speed. You kind of want things to go from slow to fast or fast to slow, depending on what you're doing. And just being able to see everything in a graph pattern and also use After Effects ease in, ease out stuff is very helpful, at least for me personally. And it's one of the more advanced features, but once you really start to get into it, it's very... Yeah, let's do this. Let's do this guy. No, that's not what I want to do. Yeah. Position, scale, rotation. 4 seconds in, I want him to be there. And then T43. Is that it? 8 seconds. Move it out. There's clearly a background on that one. Why though? this is light layer is locked, but that's yeah. Oh no. Oh no. I don't like that, that's fun. What layer is that? Hold on one sec. What the heck? Let's see. Alright. Oops. And then I'm going to alright, render that out. Give me one moment. Beautiful. Alright. I'm gonna throw it into Premiere. Try to add some sounds to it. Can never remember if I have my desktop sounds turned on or not. OBS. I can't remember if y'all can hear it. I think that's what I have it set to. Arctic 5, no. 5K. Just so you guys can hear what I'm doing. Okay. Sorry about that. New project, call it Campin'. Throw that into that folder quick so I know where it all is. Okay. What's the sequence? Yeah, this will be. Can save this to one of my friends' birthdays and throw it on their timeline for them or something like that. That's not what I wanted. Ooh, that's loud. That's not necessarily what I want. Yeah, and I think if I throw some text over that, like happy birthday or something, maybe add a fade or so. Video effects. Video transitions, dissolve. Add a film dissolve. Yeah, and I could have added a... Probably could have added something to that too. Let's, for the sake of it, pretend that it is Gavin's birthday. Alright. Where's the graphics? There we go. Not Myriad Pro. Yeah, it's a cute little digital birthday card. And you know, before I probably actually send all this, or if you know, if I do decide to use it, go in and smooth some stuff over for sure. Let's add a stroke. Make that like a 6-point stroke. Is it there? I like that. That looks good. Seems like a birthday card. What would be a let's do a cube spin. How often can that feel appropriate? You know, certainly not anywhere close to my finest work, but for spending an hour, it's not the worst. Trying to think of what else. Oops. What is bro time? I don't even remember. No. Sorry if that's blasting. Yeah. You know, a little corny, but corny's good sometimes. Very, you know, camping birthday card. All right. So I think that brings me about to my time, guys. It's been really great live streaming these past couple weeks. Thanks to everybody that's tuned in and watched. And yeah, the reason we're stopping is because summer classes at the DAE are starting up. So if you've been enjoying what you're seeing and you're trying to fill up your time with some creative endeavors, that might be the place to go. Have a good one.